Hey everybody, Haydog here. Welcome back to another reaction video. This time we're doing the Napoleonic Wars, the Peninsular Wars, 1809 to 1811. And again, people were asking me like, "Oh yeah, you didn't mess up the order." So I'm all good. Thank you so much for the support. I was getting scared and people were telling me that you were in the wrong order, but like apparently that was wrong. So thank you so much for helping me out and supporting me, and it's great on this whole journey, and thank you for dealing with I really want to put out these videos daily, but it's kind of hard with my college work, so sorry again, but I'm trying my best. But let's just get right into this. Spain, 1809. By epic history. This war was my downfall, Napoleon Bonaparte.
In 1809, Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of the French, was at the height of his power.
Yep.
He had just won another crushing victory against Austria at Wagram and imposed a humiliating peace treaty.
Damn.
But the war he'd started in Spain and Portugal, with his ill-judged invasion the previous year, continued to rage.
Spain will
Napoleon
not
had
go
placed
down.
his own brother Joseph on the Spanish throne, uniting a proud country against him.
Hell no.
His troops had dealt ruthlessly with popular uprisings,
Yep.
while routing a succession of Spanish armies.
They still are
In
in
February
the fight.
1809, Marshal Lannes overcame the heroic defense of Zaragoza in a brutal siege that cost 54,000 Spanish lives
Oh my
and
god.
10,000 French.
Oh my god. That's a lot.
But still, the Spanish and Portuguese remained defiant. And 3 months after their escape from Coruña, the British were back.
The British!
In
The
April,
back!
Sir Arthur Wellesley landed in Lisbon to lead a small Anglo-Portuguese army. British redcoats would fight alongside Portuguese troops, who, with the help of British training, would soon prove themselves highly effective.
Oh yeah.
3 weeks after arriving in Portugal, Wellesley moved against Marshal Soult's
Wellesley.
2nd Corps, which had recently taken Porto.
I do know Wellesley a lot. Yeah, because he's the second most popular general of this time. So.
His troops, preoccupied with plundering the region, had no warning of the British advance, and were soon in headlong retreat back through the mountains into Spain.
Spain is a country where small armies are defeated and large armies are starved. Henry the... Oh shoot, I don't know my Roman numerals, my numbers. Roman numbers?
Having secured Portugal for the time being, Wellesley planned a joint campaign with General Cuesta, commanding the Spanish army of Extremadura. On the 10th of July, the two commanders met at Casas de Miravete to discuss strategy. Relations between these two allies were not straightforward. Spain and Britain had a long history of conflict.
Well, yeah.
The Spanish were deeply suspicious of British intentions in Spain.
They don't like them.
While the British had a low opinion of the Spanish army, which they considered poorly trained and badly led.
I think the British have a low opinion of
Wellesley's
everybody
request to take over command of Spanish forces was rejected, but the generals agreed to a joint advance up the Tagus Valley towards Madrid, to be supported by General Venegas, advancing from La Mancha.
Okay.
In the face of their advance, Marshal Victor's 1st Corps withdrew to Talavera, where he was joined by King Joseph and General Sebastiani's 4th Corps. The French plan was for Joseph's army to defend Madrid, while Marshal Soult led 3 Corps down from the north to get behind and trap the Anglo-Spanish forces.
Yeah.
But Joseph, worried by Soult's slow progress and General Venegas's advance on Madrid, decided to attack at Talavera.
3,000, what am I saying? 30,000 British troops and some 150 leagues from the sea against 100,000 of the best troops in the world. My God. Isn't leagues? I'm pretty sure I've just heard this a long time. Isn't like the miles, like we use miles. Leagues are kind of like, you know, miles. Kill him.
The Battle of Talavera saw British infantry bear the brunt of the French assault. They stood firm and repelled the enemy
British
with disciplined
records
musket fire and bayonet charges.
Would not turn down the
Talavera
fight.
was a small battle compared to the great clashes fought that year in Austria.
Yeah.
But it proved that under Wellesley, Britain's small, well-drilled army was a force to be reckoned with.
Ooh,
even though in
yeah.
the short term, victory achieved little.
Yeah.
Warned of Soult's approach from captured dispatches, the victorious Anglo-Spanish army retreated.
Of course.
While King Joseph and 4th Corps marched against Venegas's army, which they smashed at the Battle of Almonacid.
Oh, poor Spain. Just can't get a break.
That autumn, the Supreme Junta in Sevilla, Free Spain's effective government, raised 2 new armies for another attempt to liberate Madrid, planning to converge on the capital from north and south.
Yeah, they will not stop.
But Wellesley, ennobled as Viscount Wellington for his victory at Talavera, had been so disgusted by the lack of Spanish cooperation that summer that he refused to risk his army.
Yeah, I mean, it makes
Predictably,
sense.
Spain's inexperienced armies met with disaster.
Oh.
At Ocaña, they suffered their biggest defeat of the war, when a smaller force under Marshal Soult routed the Spanish army, taking 14,000 prisoners and 50 cannon.
Damn.
A week later, the army of the left was heavily defeated at Alba de Tormes.
Man.
There was more bad news when Girona fell to the French after an epic 7-month siege.
Epic.
The Supreme Junta's plans to retake Madrid were in tatters, and southern Spain was now wide open to French attack.
Shoot. 1810. My object is not to obtain a submission by force, but to display illusions. I will arrive at a union of hearts. Joseph Bonaparte.
In January 1810,
Brother thinks
King
he's
Joseph marched south with an
as
army
good
of
as
60,000 men. Spanish resistance evaporated. Spain's Supreme Junta was overthrown in a coup, as Córdoba and Sevilla fell without a fight.
Oh no.
Joseph, who still hoped to win over the Spanish with his progressive reforms, was welcomed by many as a savior from anarchy. Only Cadiz held out, its defenses reinforced by a British naval squadron.
That makes
was
sense.
Besieged by Victor's 1st Corps.
Well, we've seen the British do this at Egypt in I forgot the name of it, but against the British and the Ottomans.
Sent Marshal Massena to Spain with 65,000 reinforcements.
Oh, geez.
He was reckoned one of Napoleon's best marshals, and had just been made Prince of Essling for his heroics in the recent war against Austria.
Okay.
Massena was to lead a 3rd French invasion of Portugal, take Lisbon, and chase the British back into the sea. He laid siege to Ciudad Rodrigo, a fortified city controlling one of the main routes into Portugal, which surrendered after 2 weeks' bombardment.
Jeez.
Wellington, with only 33,000 men to face Massena's 50,000, retreated.
Come on, Wellington.
Massena crossed the Portuguese frontier and besieged Almeida.
Yeah.
After just 13 hours of bombardment, a lucky French shot hit the Portuguese magazine.
Oh my god.
70 tons of gunpowder went up in a devastating explosion.
70 tons? That is so much. Yeah, that's like that's a huge bomb right there. Oh my god.
Made all further resistance useless.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it was a serious blow to Wellington,
surrender.
who'd been relying on Almeida's strong defenses to buy him time.
So lucky.
At Busaco, he found a strong defensive position and made a stand. Massena's uphill frontal attack failed, at the cost of 4,000 casualties.
Oof.
But the next day, the French found a way to outflank Wellington's position. Well, his retreat continued. As Massena's army neared Lisbon, his scouts reported something completely unexpected.
Oh, we're on to Google Earth for this one.
Stretching across the Lisbon Peninsula, protecting the city from attack, they found a new chain of fortifications in two major lines. Known as the Lines of Torres Vedras, the British and Portuguese had been constructing these defences for more than a year.
Oh, wow.
Now, the lines bristled with more than 100 forts, redoubts and batteries, manned by 30,000 troops and 250 guns.
Man, that reminds me, remind me of like trench warfare, where it's just huge lines. Now, they weren't very well, like, they dug in, but like still, like these are super strong. It's basically a wall. You can't even get past this.
Massena soon discovered the lines were far too strong for him to attack. What's more, a scorched earth strategy had stripped the surrounding countryside of anything that might help the French. While Portuguese partisans attacked French supply columns as they struggled through the mountains to reach Massena's army. Massena faced a grim predicament. Starved of supplies, too weak to attack, unwilling to retreat.
Man, Wellington's smart.
But throughout this standoff, it was Portuguese peasants who suffered most of all.
Oh, jeez.
When their villages and farms were burned, many took refuge in Lisbon, where thousands died of starvation and disease.
1811. So, Prince of Essling, you are no longer Massena.
Back in France, Napoleon had been preoccupied with his divorce from the Empress Josephine, and then a new marriage to Archduchess Marie-Louise, daughter of the Emperor of Austria. She was now expecting their first child. Nevertheless, from Paris, Napoleon sent frequent orders to his marshals in Spain and Portugal, urging them to take more aggressive action. But when these orders arrived weeks later, they were usually out of date and showed little understanding of the problems his marshals faced.
So, okay, so I gotta say this, like, doesn't Napoleon understand that it's going to take a while? I don't know, to me, I understand no one has the answer to this probably, but like, doesn't he understand that it may take a few weeks and things might change? I don't know. It kind of seems like Napoleon's kind of just thinking of the Spanish and British as just not good fighters. That's what I see.
He now ordered Soult, based in Andalusia, to go on the offensive to draw enemy forces away from Lisbon, so Massena could take the city. Soult laid siege to Badajoz, a fortified city that controlled the southern route into Portugal. When 12,000 men of the army of Extremadura marched to its relief, they were routed by Soult, after which the city tamely surrendered, giving up 8,000 prisoners and vast quantities of stores.
But the British...
It was another heavy blow to Spain's armed forces. But remarkably, despite such disasters and their many blundering generals, the Spanish troops remained willing to fight. The courage of the rank and file undimmed.
See, that's the problem. Sorry, I keep pausing. That's the problem with trying to take over a country that is willing to fight no matter what. Like, if the people are willing to do this because they think if they don't, then they'll all die, then what's the point of surrendering if they think they're all gonna die? You're gonna die, just do it in battle. Like, that's what they're thinking. So it's really hard to keep their hopes down.
Victor's First Corps, besieging Cadiz, had now been so weakened to support other operations that the Anglo-Spanish garrison decided to attack. The Allies landed along the coast to strike at the French siege lines from the rear. But they were ambushed by the French at Barossa. Despite heavy losses, the Anglo-Portuguese rearguard fought off the enemy.
Okay.
A furious falling out between British commander Sir Thomas Graham and his Spanish counterpart General La Peña threw away any advantage.
Okay, so
Soult,
nothing.
alarmed at these developments, marched back to Andalusia. Meanwhile, Massena,
back and
out
forth.
of food and with no prospect of reinforcement,
Yeah, he's leaving.
had no option but to retreat. Wellington's army pursued, discovering evidence of several appalling atrocities committed by the French against Portuguese villagers.
Well,
There were running battles with the French rearguard, brilliantly commanded by Marshal Ney, until
Ney
he
is
was
good
sacked
too.
by Massena for criticizing his leadership.
okay, Massena, you're being a dick. I'm gonna say
Having
that.
chased the French out of Portugal, Wellington besieged Almeida. Massena's army, now rested and reinforced, marched to its aid.
Now they're
Two
getting
armies
besieged.
clashed again at Fuentes de Oñoro. In 2 days of heavy fighting, Massena failed to break through Wellington's position to relieve Almeida.
Yep.
The fortress fell the next week, but to Wellington's fury, British bungling allowed most of the French garrison to escape.
Well, the lads got to drink.
Massena had lost 25,000 men in Portugal.
Oof.
Now he'd lost Almeida too, and a string of bad decisions, not least to bring his mistress with him on campaign, had cost him the respect of his officers.
You brought your
The Marshal,
wife?
whom Napoleon had once nicknamed the Dear Child of Victory, was recalled to France in disgrace, never to hold senior command again.
Good.
Napoleon
He's an
sent
asshole.
Marshal Marmont to replace him. Meanwhile, Marshal Beresford, the British commander of Portugal's army, was sent to retake Badajoz with 20,000
Badajoz.
British and Portuguese troops. When
Yeah, they're
Soult
just
approached with a
Soult
relief
is
force,
going back and forth.
Beresford marched to meet him at Albuera. It was one of the bloodiest battles of the war. Around
Jeez.
6,000 casualties on each side,
Oof.
with more than a third of the British infantry killed, wounded or captured.
Look at those kids. Oh
Marshal
my
Soult
God.
declared,
There is no beating these troops,
Oh.
in spite of their generals.
General.
I always thought they were bad soldiers. Now I'm sure of it. I had turned their right, pierced their center, and everywhere victory was mine. But they didn't know how to run.
Soult had been
I
checked,
mean-
but he was determined to save
That's how
Badajoz.
you do war.
The newly arrived Marshal Marmont marched to his aid, and they advanced again. This combined army forced the British to abandon the siege. But when Wellington withdrew to a strong defensive position across the Portuguese border, Soult and Marmont did not pursue.
Oh.
French commanders in Spain had learned grudging respect for Wellington and for the
Aha.
steadiness of his troops.
They see him as a
For now.
threat now.
The war in Spain had entered stalemate.
Whew. Spain. General's fortune. Officer's ruin. Soldier's death.
While British, French and Spanish armies crisscrossed Spain and Portugal, another war was fought every day in the mountains, hills and woods. From 1808, Spanish and Portuguese civilians, militias and ex-soldiers began taking up arms against the hated French invader.
You got a gun? Take
They
them
waged
out.
a war of ambushes and hit-and-run raids, known in Spanish as La Guerrilla,
Ah.
Little War. Its fighters became known in English as guerrillas.
The guerrillas. The guerrilla
Britain's Royal
warfare.
Navy supplied vital weapons, stores and money, often landing them behind enemy lines. Much of Spain's rugged countryside fell under the control of the guerrillas.
The guerrillas.
North of Madrid, Juan Martín Díez, an ex-soldier known as El Empecinado, the Stubborn, led a guerrilla band 6,000 strong.
Damn.
In Navarre, Esposimina, a former peasant, ran a highly organized band that caused havoc for the French, capturing convoys and couriers on the strategic Burgos-Bayonne road.
See, that's the
and
thing you never
branding
hear about
Viva
war.
Mina on the forehead of collaborators.
Ooh.
While in the west, Julian Sanchez,
It wasn't for the
known as
guerrillas.
El Charro, led the self-styled Lanceros de Castilla.
The French would get a lot of supplies.
El Charro himself wore a French hussar's cap, its eagle symbolically turned upside down.
Ha! What a slap in the
There
face.
were dozens more bands operating across Spain, though a few were no better than bandits, terrorizing civilians as often as the enemy.
Yeah.
The guerrilla war was merciless, marked by hideous atrocities on both sides. A French soldier's greatest fear was to be taken alive by the guerrillas,
Oof.
who often tortured their prisoners before killing them.
Ugh.
Tens of thousands of French troops were tied down by this People's War,
People's
guarding
War.
outposts or patrolling the countryside.
Huh.
The roads were so dangerous for French messengers that they required cavalry escorts of 200 men or more.
Holy shit.
Many still didn't get through.
Oh my
Their
god.
valuable dispatches forwarded to Wellington, for whom they became an invaluable source of intelligence. The war in Spain would ultimately cost the lives of 240,000 French soldiers.
Oh my
As
god.
was typical in wars of this era, most
Oh.
died from disease,
Yeah.
but more died fighting guerrillas than in battle against the British and
Oh
Spanish
my
armies.
god.
However, it was the twin threat, a well-led regular army under Wellington and a popular insurgency, that left the French facing an impossible strategic
Yeah, there's
dilemma.
nothing you can do.
If their armies remained dispersed to fight the guerrillas, Wellington could attack.
Well, yeah.
But if they concentrated to defeat Wellington in battle, huge swathes of the country
guerrillas, yeah.
would quickly fall to the guerrillas. This was Napoleon's Vietnam,
Vietnam,
or his
that's
bleeding
right.
ulcer, as he called it. A war that cost his empire an average of 100 casualties every day,
Oh,
with little prospect of victory.
nothing. No game.
And in
nothing.
1812, as Napoleon launched his gigantic invasion of Russia,
Oh, yeah.
Wellington and the guerrillas launched their own offensive that would turn the war in Spain on its head.
Whew.
Thank you to all.
Sheesh. Yeah, that's, oh my god, so that's where we get guerrilla warfare from. Well, we probably got it from earlier, but you know, that's more popular. The Peninsular Wars, yeah, that's it's crazy. I love learning about it because like you don't learn about that in history really about Napoleon. Is the Peninsular Wars was the first kind of major defeat of Napoleon. His biggest mistake was with Spain, and it's just so cool to like have like comparisons from Vietnam and from Spain. It's the same thing. Like we in America, we were tied down. There was nothing really we were doing. We were just, I mean, we weren't in a terrible situation, but we were still just throwing guys in a meat grinder with little to no effort, and just also just killing people, which they're civilians, so horrible atrocities we done on the same side too. So it was just bloody all over, and then you know we couldn't do anything about it. Anyway, it has a lot of comparisons and similarities to both wars in such different time periods, which is kind of interesting to see. Anyway, I've been rambling on. Hopefully you guys liked it. Comment and subscribe. See ya!